Good early Saturday morning, everybody. Meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center with a severe thunderstorm warning in play until about 12:45 this morning. You see this yellow box here, including parts of Hamilton County in Florida and Echols County in South Georgia. As we're seeing some nasty wind possibly associated with this. It may be getting down to the surface or it may not be. I know we've been watching the storm all the way since it was in Jefferson County, really, when it was still in some rotation, which we do have here, but wasn't enough to prompt some type of warning here. We weren't sure really matching up with the storm here, but it seems like it's trying to organize a little bit more, trying to maybe get wind down to the surface. Not 100% sure. Tallahassee office didn't issue any warnings for this here as we were looking at it from Jefferson County over toward the east, but now the Jacksonville office issuing this as there is even some rotation here with it as noted by that Moody Air Force Base radar. So let's go ahead and zoom on in a little bit here. This is not a tornado warning yet, but there's a tornado possible tag associated with this, and this area of spin, area of wind enhancement is right on the edge of it. So if it was displaced a little bit more, they probably wouldn't issue this warning, but because it's right on the edge, it definitely could, in theory, be getting down to the surface here. This severe weather potential with this wind energy, and this maybe even not completely out of the question of possible tornadoes. So, again, not an official tornado warning, though, but again, a severe thunderstorm warning is in play about 12:45. Here as we're looking at 12:18, the severe thunderstorm was located over Blue Springs, or 9 miles northwest of Swanee River State Park, moving east at about 35 miles an hour. So we're talking about Jasper, Jennings, Blue Springs, and Crossroads. And the Weather Service there in Jacksonville wants everybody to remain alert for a possible tornadoes, as tornadoes can develop quickly from severe thunderstorms. If you spot a tornado, you want to go at once into that small central room in a sturdy structure there. So it would be really hard to spot one tonight. I mean, it is on the edge if we had one there, that rotation, but it's nighttime, folks. You shouldn't be really looking for one, but if you do just happen to spot one, obviously that's more cause for concern and to immediately get in toward that tornado safe spot. So right now, severe thunderstorm warning is in play until 12:45. I know we haven't had any official tornado warnings in our area. Now to the west, in toward the Panama City television market, we had some. I know we had one in the Dothan market as well earlier on. May have had a touchdown in the Dothan market there with the storm. We talked about that earlier. And in the Panama City's market, the Weather Service in Tallahassee was talking about that there were two different areas they were looking at where we had tornado debris signatures, but they both occurred, it seems, in more rural areas there. Again, not something we needed to come on for outside of the area. Not a huge tornado threat, but something that spun up pretty quickly there. It was probably on the lower end of the enhanced strategic scale if they find even damage there to be able to rate things. If not, they may just go there with EF0 or EF unknown. But we're talking about social media report of a waterspout moving on shore as a tornado in Walton County earlier tonight. In addition, a well-defined debris signature appeared on radar just inland from the coast there, and this was 1 mile north-northwest there of Seaside, and then 5 miles north-northeast of West Bay there, at about 8:51 Eastern is how they have it set here. That was in the central time zone, but well-defined debris signature, but no structural damage reported in that rural area. So kind of just letting you guys know exactly what we're talking about in regard to the grand scheme of things here. So again, looking at things right now, though, some greens and reds trying to come together, but they look a little more diffuse right now, so not quite as tight as they were maybe as they were to the south, though I would say that it has kind of they're moved along with the storm enough where it could be on the edge still. So that could be problematic. And in fact, I'll try out for you guys a Florida 511 camera perspective here in just a second. So bear with me here as we continue along. Let me go ahead and try to get you that. We'll see if we can get one on I-75. See if maybe we can catch something live. It'd be pretty hard to do here at night, of course, but you just never know what could occur here. Since we do have the camera, you never know what we can see here live on the air. So let's go ahead and try to effort that here over the next minute or so as I look to see exactly what areas this rotation could be crossing here in relation to I-75. So close to West 67th there is what we're talking. Also, it looks like over toward Northwest County Road 152. So again, we're going to be watching that area there south of Jennings on I-75. So just trying to give you guys a good understanding of what we're dealing with here. I know zooming on some of our products behind the scenes right now, trying to make sure we get them lined up. It's a one-man band, so got to just make sure I get everything lined up properly here in the grand scheme of things. Make sure you guys get a good camera perspective on things here. We'll try to go ahead and see what we might have. Let me go ahead and try this one. This one's going to be pointing north, so let me actually go one south. That's pointing northwest, so that might give us a little bit better shot. So let's go ahead and try to go over here. It's really kind of dark out there, but let's go ahead and see what we have here. I'll go ahead and pull this one up right now. You can see on this live perspective, it is looking just kind of, I mean, I guess you could say isolated out there, quiet for the most part on the roads, which is what you want to see when you have a severe thunderstorm warning in play, or something like a tornado warning in play. So we'll keep watching things. I mean, this is showing there's some lightning now. You just saw that. As again, we're looking there toward I-75. This is mile marker 462 as it kind of goes into the color mode anyway for a second. They may be going back and forth with that, or that might be an automatic feature. I'm not sure, but you can kind of see that there on the screen right now. You saw some lightning there in the shot once again, or at least flashes there in the skyline. So again, I just continue to watch things there right here on the interstate system. We'll keep our eyes on everything. But let's go ahead and go back on over to the radar for right now. As we go back to that, you'll be able to see what's going on here with the Doppler radar technology. Just to try to give you guys a good vantage point. And that again, things look kind of diffuse, but there is some wind in there that could be reaching. That is interesting. Let me go to base, because that looks like, yeah, that's getting stronger now for sure. That wind is not showing up as good on base as I thought, but we're kind of close there on the radars. But that looks like some strong wind there right near Northwest County Road 152. So that's just north of, it looks like Northwest County Road 146. So we actually have a camera there right at 152 right now. So let me see what this is showing you guys then. Let's see if we can kind of pull that up on the screen. That might be more interesting if it's more straight line winds like the warning would indicate. Since it's not a tornado warned storm, you'll kind of see what we're talking about here now. As we get in there right now on this shot, you can kind of see what is happening there. People having to slow down some now on the roads as we're looking there at mile marker 463.5. So again, that's the shot right now. You see some rain on the lens there. Again, there's your velocity mode once again, just to give you guys a look at that there. We're in this area where we have some of the strongest winds. So we'll go back to the camera once again now as we continue along with you guys here in the Weather Center. You guys can kind of see what we're talking about here. People having to slow down, the ones that are on the road. It is St. Patrick's Day night, so got to really take it easy out there in this type of circumstance with this type of weather around. We don't want anything bad to happen, so let us be extra careful out there as we have the severe thunderstorm warning in play. Just want to remember, when thunder roars, go indoors, seek shelter inside that sturdy building, and stay away from windows if you can here in this type of scenario. So again, I'm checking all that. I'm checking some more sources behind the scenes here as we continue to give you guys the latest information. We're just trying to make sure we effort everything for you guys here. As you see some more flashes there, kind of intriguing to see that as we're looking out there live right now. So again, now switching back to night vision mode, it looks like, but we'll continue along here as needed. Looking to that area right now, you do see some enhancement there, but it might be displaced off the storm. It is. Maybe a little bit of wind enhancement there, but again, it'd be hard for anything to really come together as we're getting south of the actual storm with anything getting really down to the surface in the severe mode. But you just never know here with some of the stronger gusts, at least here with this overall setup. So again, we're continuing to watch things. We're 12:36 on this Saturday morning. This is not an area-wide threat. It's a very isolated threat. We've been watching this storm here in particular for a while, but again, it is something that is not covering too many of us. Go back to the broad perspective. That's the only storm that really looks remotely strong here, but it is severe warned. And we have a rotation tracker showing pretty good amount of rotation there as we're looking at near 75. You see how we've been watching over the last hour. Seemed like maybe trying to get us out together a little bit over the last bit. And the Tallahassee office didn't issue a warning on it as we were watching it here in our viewing area, but the Jacksonville office has now. I know earlier on we did have that one thunderstorm warning in South Georgia. We did have that one thunderstorm warning in South Georgia that we were on for, and we ended up getting a apparent roof being blown off of a building in Sylvester from that in Worth County. So that's the only damage report that I've seen in our area here. But still, that's pretty significant, obviously, to get a roof blown off. I don't know what type of building it was, but that's the only storm report in our area. And that is saying that there's just was a roof blown off of a building, apparently based on a report at around 8:13 or so, while that warning was still technically in effect in parts of south central Georgia. So again, that's impressive to hear. Not in a good way though, but we're eventually going to get this stuff becoming more of a probably rainy weather scenario here, as we have just the cool air try to infiltrate and to cut things here a little bit more. So the severe threat will be going down, even though we'll have some more rain here, pretty good amount of rain possible here for some of us in north central Florida as we look ahead towards your Saturday. But that severe threat looks to be low. You see at the mini map, oh, we have 40s out toward areas there in northwest Florida, toward areas there around Milton, 49 degrees, and Alabama, Evergreen, 46. So we're going to have some cool air try to come in to the picture here as we do look ahead in toward the timeline. That's something to keep in mind here. And it's going to be pretty cool, but then we're going to have a warm up here next week. And we're not going to get maybe as much in the way of storminess toward that Tuesday time frame as we first thought. I know we thought that might be a higher end type of threat if it came together, but not enough of a concern to turn that logo red because it's too far out. And this is kind of why we don't, because it's kind of faded away from now, at least in the model one, but still far enough out. Things can still change again. We'll keep you updated, but we'll have our formal update there on Tuesday. That is our plan here, unless we have to come on for some reason. But right now, that threat is really falling off on Tuesday. So after the rain on Saturday, not as much rain we expected. But this right here is definitely producing some pretty heavy rainfall rates right over I-75 right now on that Saturday morning here. The overnight time frame, a spring break week for many, and St. Patrick's Day weekend as well. March Madness here too. So again, just as we look at some things here in the Weather Center, it can be kind of problematic here. These are some blinding downpours. 2 inches plus here on the radar being seen in last hour in parts of Madison County. So keep that in mind over the last 12 hours here. You can see our radar at least. And okay, they're going to go with a tornado warning now for Hamilton County. So this right here, they're showing 4+ inches toward parts of areas there in Jefferson County, which is impressive there. But it's back to the 1 hour rate real quick. But we need to get into the tornado warning because as we're talking to you guys, this is probably going off on your phone right now. A tornado warning has been issued. So let's see what is showing up in storm related that prompted that. And it is kind of messy in here right now. So that might be one reason they issued it. Maybe they're looking at a different radar even because it's so messy in here right now. It's not going to be an easy storm to look at, but we now have a tornado warning in the market area. That's why we really want to be careful with these situations and we have a tornado possible tag in play. So whenever the tornado warning here issued, we're on wall to keep you guys safe and informed with at least a stream going. So that's what we're doing right now. You want to seek shelter inside that sturdy building, get as many walls between you and the outside as possible, and protect yourself from flying debris or potential flying debris by putting on that bicycle helmet. So tornado warning now. This is in effect till 1:15. A possible tornado indicated near Jennings there, moving east at 40 miles an hour. So we need to get folks into shelter. A tornado warning has been issued now until 1:15 this morning. Again, you need to get in that interior room away from windows here immediately as we continue along with this live coverage to keep you guys safe. We have some greens and reds coming together here. So let's tell you guys where that possible tornado could be, if there is one right now. We'll kind of zoom on it. I'll back it up just a little bit here and kind of describe where it could be. It could be somewhere at least in the vicinity here of Northwest 86 Boulevard. So that's kind of what we're doing with this right now. Let's check for debris. That didn't really line up. I'm going to go to a different radar site. Let's check either Tallahassee or Jackson. I'm going to do Tallahassee for now. I may check Jackson in a minute. They're further away, but you may be getting some interference here, because we're kind of at an odd spot here on this end toward Hamilton County. So don't get tornado warnings very often. It seems like in Hamilton and Echols, but we're getting one right now. So you need to get in the interior room away from windows here. Again, a possible tornado located near Jennings. It's time to go ahead and put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. You want to put maybe a football helmet on or bicycle helmet on. You want to put shoes on. I mean, you may be in bed right now. You want to go ahead and maybe get up and get those shoes on in case you have broken glass after a tornado maybe comes on through. And that does to the rotation. There may be a little bit more to find off the Tallahassee side. I know it's 6,000 plus feet up, but sometimes you have to just look at multiple radar views here. And the rotation would be right there, maybe just north or near some of these different roads around as I look northwest 25th lane. So that's kind of an indicator for you guys there right now of what's going on. So yeah, you can see that tighten up on the Tallahassee radar better there, a lot more clearly than what we're seeing on the Moody radar. So that's why probably they prompted this tornado warning, a possible tornado in the northwest 25th lane. Maybe a little weaker on that scan, but that scan there is pretty tight even. Some of these scans here, the last three before this one, but even this one is tight enough probably to keep this going for a bit. And this could be headed toward Baker's Mill here in short order. But first it would cross over State Highway 100 here in Hamilton County. Again, a tornado warning in play now. We had an upgrade, a new warning being issued here. An upgrade in threat though, because we had rotation intensify with this. This is about to cross over State Road 100 here, folks. It looks like, based on our indications. So State Highway 100 in there. But also our system now, they zoom on in, we're talking about US 129 to give you guys another name indicator there. And you have Baker's Mill, but maybe this clips into Georgia there in Echols County over the next little bit. So I know it's late there, but we have a tornado warning in play until about 1:15 a.m. for parts of the area. We don't have much lightning with this, but we had a storm about Austin the month of December there, I believe it was, several years back with no cloud to ground lightning. It was a pretty strong tornado too, so you just never know here in these type of situations. Let's check the Jacksonville radar because Tallahassee gave us, I thought, a better view here of the rotation because kind of getting messy there by Valdosta. Something maybe similar to what we dealt with that storm last Friday, Tallahassee area there, where it didn't look quite as bad on some of our wind modes when we got too close to it. But we're checking further aloft here to see the indications on this here, as we have a tornado warning in play until 1:15 in the morning. So you need to get as many walls between you and the outside as possible here. And that Jacksonville radar, that really shows it tight. Wow, and that's about 6,500 feet. So I know they're almost displaced a little, which is why if you're in the box east of 75 there, you need to be taking those tornado precautions immediately. You can't mess around here. This could be a tornado on the ground. That's pretty tight. This is right there near Northwest 86 Boulevard. We could have a tornado there on the ground. I mean, you just never know here. I mean, I know we're looking up on a debris tracker higher. It almost looks like something, but I may check our other radar mode here closer in, the Moody, because we probably get debris pretty clear on this, even if we're getting a messy signature there, if it was actually touching down. So, again, that's your tornado warning right now, though. Echols and Hamilton until 1:15 this morning. It's time to get in the interior room away from windows. So, I mean, it's hard to see. It's so messy in there. I mean, you just never know if there's something on the ground one way or the other here. Again, it's time to take shelter, folks. A tornado warning in play for Hamilton and Echols until 1:15. That just weakened down some, which is a positive. But let's go back in the velocity to get an idea of the trend here. They just let us severe thunderstorm warning expire, but we're not going anywhere, obviously, with a tornado warning in play right now. And that was a lot tighter there on 75 in that vicinity there, even as we were looking in the timeline. You can see it just weakened out a little in this mode, this scan here on this mode. But let's go ahead and see what else we have for you guys right now in the cover. Let's go back to the Moody site then. We'll see what is so. But again, a tornado warning in play. The threat escalated since we first put this live stream out. Was the severe thunderstorm warning situation, now a tornado warning situation here for portions of Hamilton and Echols counties until about 1:15. They may drop this warning early. We'll see. But right now, a tornado warning in play until about 1:15 this morning. So let's go ahead and zoom back on in a little bit. It's messy in here. I mean, it shows some really high wind values, though, which is kind of concerning, actually, because this slow down, you see wind values of 70 on here. You wonder, they may be getting some damage in this area, even toward Jasper here. I know the rain didn't match up, but, I mean, I'm not saying we could have all that wind coming down because of the lack of convection there, but maybe we get gusts there in that 50 range in toward Jasper here. You just never know. To the north, we get some of that wind to match up a little bit more, closer to Baker's Mill, and that could be problematic for folks. It's just really messy on this low tilt here, but again, we're just going to keep watching things, keep tracking them here for you guys. I'll go ahead and load some of the recent images in here from this radar as well. That looks like it may be trying to organize, but it's really messy as I bat this up here. Again, you see some of these blues. That's indicative of winds about 55 miles an hour, right? And it just gave me an update, so let's do that again. So right in here is about 55 mile an hour wind. If it matches up with the rain, it's kind of on the edge there, so you never know. That's in there enough where it could be trying to get down to the surface here around Baker's Mill on the north side of Jasper here. So you need to take those tornado precautions. Again, a tornado warning in play till 1:15 as we continue to try to protect you, protect your friends, protect your family here this morning. Checking some more information behind the scenes, so bear with me. I'm going to check some of our power outage details right now as we make sure we give you guys all those details so you can keep your friends, keep your family safe here as you're watching on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, and on Twitch. So, again, just checking everything here right now, making sure everybody's staying safe this morning. We just want to see what type of numbers we could have in terms of those electrical outages. Hamilton County right now, not showing any as of about 10 minutes ago on our aggregate view from PowerOutage.us. 55 customers are out in Madison County, 13 in Jefferson, 4 in Leon, none in McCullough, none in Gaston, none in Liberty. Sometimes you don't have everybody tracked out there just because of the more rural nature of things. But nonetheless, we'll keep watching those numbers here. Let's get up toward the north in Georgia and check some of those numbers now behind the scenes. We do have 404 customers in Dark and Thomas County and 213 out in Mitchell County here. None in Brooks County, though, as we kind of give you guys an idea of some of those numbers. But we're looking toward Echols right now, which I suspect is at none here as well. And it is for the time being, but that could change here. But only have 670 customers tracked in that county, so that could kind of mitigate what we actually see on that a little bit. So keep that in mind. But again, a tornado warning in play. That's where we're staying with you guys right now. We need to get as many walls between you and the outside as possible right now. Again, since this live stream started, the threat escalated a little bit. It went from a severe thunderstorm warning situation with a tornado possible tag in it to a tornado warning, like what we saw at least with the boxes being issued out toward the west by the Tallahassee office for areas there in the Panama City TV market and the Dothan TV market. This is now kind of on some different DMA lines here, really. And we're talking parts of Tallahassee's market, really, though, more than anything, but we're kind of in some different areas here where we're not too far from a few different markets, really. I mean, and some areas kind of cover from time to time based on some different criteria. I mean, not that far here from areas, really, I mean, as you're looking there toward South Georgia. I mean, thinking of the Albany market, we're not that far from the Jacksonville market either, just a little to the west. If this gets into Columbia County, that's in your Jacksonville TV market. So it gets kind of tricky in there as we continue along. You hear me typing behind the scenes here. We're just trying to give you guys latest information here to protect everybody. I want to make sure I get everything kind of handled here as we're looking. I mean, again, just looking here right now at the Tallahassee TV market, but again, we're very close to some other zones of the area as we continue along here. Just want to make sure you guys have a good geographic understanding of what we're talking about here, because that might help you if you're watching from a national perspective even, or if you're in the area and you're wondering where we're at. I mean, we covered 62 counties, and right now parts of 2 of them are under a tornado warning here. I mean, that's what we're dealing with right now. I mean, technically the Tallahassee market, but you go up a couple counties here, and that's the Albany DMA. You go over a little bit at Jacksonville's DMA, and that just gives you the idea of how things are going as we're getting word now from the Tallahassee office that winds even blew a dog kennel there, blew it over between Geneva and Bellwood. As we're getting another update now, tornado warning continuing until 1:15. Possible tornado located near Jasper, moving east at about 45 miles an hour. So again, that's kind of what we're dealing with right now here with this tornado warning in play. We're continuing to follow it here, continuing to give you guys the latest updates on exactly what is happening in this type of situation. So, I mean, as you're talking about some of these areas, I mean, of course, we're in that vicinity here where we're not even that far away from the official Gainesville DMA, but they cover some of these counties in the Swanee River Valley as well. So just something to kind of keep in mind. But again, there's your latest update on the polygon there. 12:51 is severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado again located near Jasper, vicinity anyway, moving east at 45 miles an hour. So you need to get in the interior room away from windows right now. Again, a tornado warning here is in play until 1:15 this morning for parts of Echols and parts of Hamilton counties. Again, when we started, it was a severe thunderstorm warning situation, but now the rotation was tight enough from some of our views that they had to upgrade this to a tornado warning scenario here. As we look there toward, it looks like as they get in street level, and some of these roads just don't want to show up on us, but a northeast 20th loop there is what we're talking in general. We could have some of that rotation indicated on the Doppler radar technology. Let me go to the Jacksonville radar again. That gave us a good view earlier, I thought, of some things that we couldn't see as well closer down, getting a little bit up in this. So I'll do that here in just a second as we go ahead and continue along. But here's another broad view. There's rotation trackers showing that rotation there in parts of this region as we're looking east of 75 now, east of Interstate 75 in northern Florida. This area here, technically, Roy just called northern Florida versus, I mean, you could really not want to call it the Big Bend here or north central Florida, but I mean, it's almost there in that region if you kind of want to call it north central Florida. I mean, people have different geographic descriptions, but that's not important right now as we continue along here with this coverage. Again, a tornado warning in play. You need to seek shelter inside that sturdy building if you're out and about for St. Patrick's Day night, for instance, or March Madness. You're going to get inside there and have as many walls between you and the outside as possible and protect yourself from flying debris that could be occurring if this is on the ground by putting on a bicycle helmet. So very important stuff here, very important tips to keep in mind. I know we ended up having a EF0 tornado toward Putnam County there, hit those more wooded areas, it seems, there early Monday morning. Maybe had some damage as we saw there. Media reports showed in Alachua County there from that same storm. It seemed there a little bit earlier on in its life cycle. And then I even showed you guys something there. We were on that Tuesday update as well. A little bit of issues there just east of 301 there by the road that way that is going out toward the east. But again, just continuing to watch things. Again, a tornado warning in play for this area, this red box here. Parts of Echols County, Georgia, parts of Hamilton and Florida for another 20 minutes. That's why we're with you guys here. It's about protecting everybody. That's important right now. You have this tornado threat that is in play here. I know, honestly, on the edge of the risk area here and going out of the official risk. And the tornado risk here actually off toward the west officially. But doesn't always matter. Storms don't follow the SPC outlook sometimes. It is kind of a renegade storm here, a rogue storm. And that's what we're dealing with right now. Let's look at some of our instability values. We're on just enough of that instability here as we look on the edge of this here to get this storm to tap into some of that 600 joules per kilogram surface based and the significant tornado parameters there as well. So you kind of see why this is still kind of maintaining itself enough here, especially as we have these temperatures in the upper 60s to lower 70s here. As I go ahead and put our infrared satellite on, we'll take some other stuff off. That's pretty cold cloud type accent we're dealing with. We weren't seeing that as much, honestly, back early Monday morning. The overall pattern didn't promote that as much, but you don't see that to the south as much. But this area to the north, I mean, we have this area of storminess and this tornado warning here in play. It's about protecting you. It's about protecting your friends. It's about protecting your family here. I'm going to see if you guys have any questions for me right now as we continue along with this tornado warning here in play. Again, till about 1:15 this morning for parts of Florida, parts of Georgia here. We cover 62 counties, and this is kind of halfway in between here, our area. I mean, when you think about it, I mean, we cover areas from just west of Tallahassee through Jacksonville and up there through Albany and down through Marion County, Levy County. So in some ways, you could almost say this is pretty closer to the center of the area. We're looking in Bradford County, but just in terms of the geography of things, it's interesting to see as you zoom on out a bit here. Again, that's the only warning we have right now. The severe thunderstorm warning allowed to expire because the tornado warning really, once it was issued for later on in the timeline and covered a similar area, took precedence here. But they may go ahead if we don't see enough rotation by the time 1:15 or so rolls around. Maybe they go with a severe thunderstorm warning east with a tornado possible tag in it, or maybe they issue another tornado warning. We'll see. Have to wait and see here. This storm's all by itself, though, and it's able to get connected. Earlier, it didn't get connected enough. Things weren't on top of themselves right with the rain and with the wind modes, so it was displaced, and we weren't really getting the pixels to organize. We've gotten that here for a while now. It seems like some of those wind numbers are coming down on our Jacksonville view, which would be about 6,000 feet up. That'd be good news, but you just have that purple core there, so still don't want to take any chances here as we look at this. You don't want to take any chances. You need to get inside, away from windows here. A football helmet, bike helmet, something to protect your head there. Maybe something there just to protect your upper body, really, in this type of situation. It would be something to put on there. Maybe consider there putting a mattress over your head there, and if you still have time, if you're in the path of this, if you have a safe structure to get into outside of a mobile home, that would be preferable here, because mobile homes aren't the best places to be in a tornado. I'm not saying you just kind of need to run right outside in to the tornado here, because that'd be really dangerous in some ways. But I mean, the old advice really was to get into a ditch there when a tornado was coming at you and you were in a mobile home. Now, that is an option for you guys there, but got to keep in mind you could have flash flooding concerns, or at least some flooding concerns that could be an issue in that type of scenario, just because of standing water even that could exist. Sometimes not really the best option, but it is a last resort, I suppose. But again, we have this tornado warning here in play for another 16 minutes for parts of Echols and parts of Hamilton. And I do like this radar trend here. The greens and reds are becoming more and more diffuse now on the Jacksonville view. We'll go back to the closer radar view here now, because I thought Jackson was kind of giving us a good shot further up here to kind of get a good look further into this storm cell and see exactly what's going on with the wind profile per se. But we'll get a little bit further down here toward the surface now and see what's happening, because if we see the brighter colors still, that'd be cause for concern if they're lined up in the right slot. Now, we may see those and they're kind of displaced, or may kind of see it like it is still in Jacksonville, and we'll go ahead and find out right now. So actually, it's still showing pretty nasty there to some degree. The red's not so much, the wind's going away from the radar, but those winds going toward the radar are still there, though they are more outside of the rain area. It looks like they're more outside of the rain area. So that is something to kind of keep our eyes on here as we're looking. But that would not be as big of a concern probably. But that hook on that storm is still interesting. So I feel like they probably ride this tornado warning out to see if it pulses back up. But if it stays like it is now, I would think they would let this expire at 1:15 or so. Maybe a couple minutes before that. Here they might drop this warning if the situation does require that here in terms of the overall setup here with things. I know they're talking here in the chat session, meteorologists in Jacksonville, meteorologist asking right now, are there any reports from the tornado warning and its extension possible? So hopefully we'll get an update here on that in just a moment, because that'll be moving in toward the Jacksonville DMA if it clipped part of Columbia County. So that's something that they're definitely interested in there in the Jacksonville television market. But again, we're going to continue to watch things. That hook is still there. So, I mean, it's interesting. And I feel like they might just want to ride this out, and then if the trends and the velocity just stay the same, we don't get any reports, then it'd probably what they would do here is just go ahead and let this one expire. They might go with a severe thunderstorm warning with the tornado possible tag downstream, but it's an interesting storm for sure here. But right now, this tornado warning continues here for another 13 minutes for parts of Hamilton and parts of Echols counties. So you want to get inside. You want to get away from windows here in this type of circumstance for sure if you're out and about. But if you're not out and about, then it's always just a good idea to get maybe into a closet there, a bathroom, or maybe an interior hallway here to protect yourself from this tornadic situation as well. So we're still checking for updates on this storm. Right now, if we had a tornado down, it'd be right there near, it looks like that border there with Florida and Georgia. And some of our lines kind of getting away sometime, but right there near that Florida-Georgia border here, Hamilton and Echols, again, a tornado warning in play right now until 1:15 this morning, another 13 minutes. So what I think I'm going to do right now, I'm going to take a quick break here, be back in about 2.5 minutes, gather more details. We're going to obviously keep the stream going, but want to gather more details here. Is this tornado, if it's on the ground still, or if it hadn't been down and it's trying to touch down now, it'd be right there near, it looks like, areas there that get down to street level map and that are pretty rural for sure, because I'm not getting most of the roads to pop up. But C-17 road is one of them that is up within our map, but you see the topography pretty sparsely populated out here right now. But we got to keep watching. We got to keep tracking here this morning. That's what we're doing here at Clouds Weather. I'll see you back here in about 2.5 minutes, so keep attuned to Clouds Weather. We'll keep you guys updated as we monitor the progress of the storm and gather more information on exactly what is going on out here, because that's important to kind of get a whole understanding of exactly the grand scheme of things. Meteorologist Casey Cloud back here in the Weather Center at 106 on this Saturday morning. Again, our logo is blue because this is not a widespread threat here, but we have this tornado warning in play for another 9 minutes or so officially for parts of Hamilton and parts of Echols counties here. So you got to take shelter in this red polygon area. Could have a tornado in here. You never know. That's the threat we're dealing with right now as we're live on the air here. As we get later and later in the night here, St. Patrick's Day night. Pretty rural area, but we're looking here at some of these blues in that 50-mile-an-hour range, right on the state line here. Some of these reds in the 20-mile-an-hour range. So we'll just keep watching some of these radar scans here over the next little bit just to see how things kind of come together. It looks a little more diffuse, though, in terms of even the organization of where our little notch is that goes on in and the actual rotation. It seems a little displaced to me, but we'll just have to keep watching and see what the Weather Service thinks here over the next little bit. So again, we're at 107. This is moving east at 30 miles an hour, this possible tornado. So something to keep in mind here for sure. We'll see if a warning, some type of warning, thunderstorm or tornado gets extended out toward the east here. If it does, would include probably more parts of Echols there, may still clip parts of Hamilton and then Columbia, and then Clinton maybe be in line here as well. So that's something to kind of watch here and see what type of a polygon, if there is another one to come, actually gets issued out of the office there in Jacksonville. So again, we're at 108 right now. Tornado warning for parts of Hamilton, parts of Echols counties here until 1:15. We're just going to keep watching all these radar scans here, all these modes of the Doppler radar to see what happened and what is happening, I should say, in this area. So let me go ahead and go on back here. You can see some rotation here on this on a scale from 1 to 20 per se. Our system has it at a 13 right now, so I know that doesn't mean a lot. We don't generally go over those numbers, but it's just kind of interesting here overall to me here as a meteorologist that rotation is still still pretty tight there. It was tighter a little while ago. It's actually outside of our 1 to 20 scale that we have here. It's up to 22, so that says how tight it was. Whether we actually had a tornado down, though, is the question. Haven't got any reports here yet, but we're still checking. We're efforting all of our sources here at Cloud Weather to give you guys the very latest. So just continuing to look here at our screens. It's a one-man band, but we're doing the best we can here. Echols County, no power outages still at the last check. Hamilton County, do we have any there? On the latest update, we have one customer being reported in dark. 55 in Madison County, 13 in Jefferson County, 1 in Taylor County. So that's our aggregate information from PowerOutages.us here. And okay, they're going with a new tornado warning now, folks. They're going with a new tornado warning. I'm just being told to 145 now for parts of Columbia, Hamilton, Clinton, Echols counties. This does include the community of Fargo there, folks. So they think it's tight enough to issue a new tornado warning now until 1:45 this morning. So it's a little surprising in some ways, but I feel like they just want to err on the side of caution here. People may be getting caught off guard a little here, just in case this is actually touching down here in a very isolated nature. They just want to make sure people have their heads up in case that were to occur once again here as it goes further on out. So the information we're getting right now at 109 is if a thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 9 miles southwest of Needmore or 10 miles northeast of Jasper, moving east at 30 miles an hour here. So it could be near Needmore around 125 and Fargo around 140. So we're talking about parts of North Florida and southeast Georgia here with this threat. So again, possible tornado here in toward this area as we're looking near the state line. This area right in here, we have enough of the winds that are going toward that radar at Moody Air Force Base and enough going away from the radar. The green and the blues toward it, the red away. So that's what we have our possible tornado. As I go ahead, I want to switch over to Jacksonville again. So let's go ahead and go back on over to our Jacksonville radar site and see exactly what is happening here from that other mode, that other height level. I know sometimes when you look further away, it gives you a more distorted view, but in this case, I just want to cross-reference both. I like seeing it closer in, but sometimes you can get a little too close here and just to see multiple angles here can kind of help me to pinpoint exactly what is going on, because they must have saw something go back up there a little bit on some of their different scans to see another one like this. And when we look in here, it's not that clear actually like it was earlier where we had the greens and red troy coming together, but I felt like I just wanted to take the path of least regret here and issue a new tornado warning. This is earlier, about 1 o'clock or so on that view, and you can see I backed this up a little bit more here. We had it about 1240, that was tighter. Now it's more diffuse here, more broad, but again, you just never know here. Let's check the Tallahassee radar. Maybe they got something on that one, because it's about the same or similar height at least to what we're talking about out of the Jacksonville radar site. They're 6,000 feet or so versus that view that's a lot closer in here. So again, a new tornado warning issued as we continue along. So let me go ahead and pull up some of our tips here to put them on your screen. Again, seek study that sturdy building that is now for a new area here further in the past. So again, you want to seek shelter inside that sturdy building as we look further on over to the east. As you see some of our new scans load in, I'll go back to that in a second, but there's where we're at. We're north of Lake City. We're north of Live Oak right now with this threat. But let's go ahead and see exactly what our Tallahassee radar is showing. It's actually right there, really in our purplish area here, and that makes it almost impossible to get a good look at this. So we're actually getting further and further away, as we would expect from the Tallahassee radar, but it's now so far away it's almost impossible to get a good scan on this. Earlier on, you saw how tight things were though when we had this warning being issued there. That's back at 1242 or so, but now we're watching things further downstream. Again, a tornado warning in play until about 1:45 this morning. So again, let's go back on over to our Moody radar site now, since that's the better vantage point, it seems. Here, I mean, the Tallahassee doesn't help us much. Jacksonville does help us some, but it made it really look diffuse, and I'm honestly a little bit kind of surprised that they would reissue if they thought it was that diffuse. So maybe they think it's not reading it quite right there. So we'll keep watching, keep tracking our latest rotation scan here. Rotation tracker still showing some of that rotation now. Here, no, you don't see many cities pop up, but I need more on there again. And you're talking about areas closer to Fargo and Council over the next little bit. So again, a tornado warning here on play until about 1:45 this morning. We're going to go ahead and see exactly what is happening here. Again, you see the red polygon on your screen, and that's what we're dealing with right now, a possible tornado in this area. Again, this storm is all by itself, so it's able to kind of be able to move across here more unimpeded than our storms generally would. It's able to get that inflow from the south here. That's something we don't see that often in our area here. To have it all unimpeded from the south there with the flow coming on in. That's something you see generally. I mean, I remember storms out in Louisiana doing that. Several states, really, Alabama there. It happens a lot more in other areas of the country. So that's one reason why, even though the parameters aren't all that conducive, it's able to take advantage of almost everything here. And that's why we still have this tornado threat in play. It's got to be careful out here as we're watching this move from Florida into Georgia now. It seems you still have the tornado warning, though, for parts of Columbia and Hamilton now until 1:45. So, got to bear that in mind here. Definitely got to bear that in mind if you're in those areas. But this is also for parts of Hamilton and Echols here in Georgia for another now 30 minutes. Again, a tornado warning here in play. The threat wasn't all that high, but it was enough. We were on guard. We ended up having, it appears, based on some law enforcement reports in Alabama, maybe a tornado touchdown there in the Dothan TV market, and then we had a couple in the Panama City TV market there. We didn't have any warnings for tornadoes until just recently in our market, not around the Tallahassee metro or anything like that. We did have a severe thunderstorm warning, though, as we got toward areas around Sylvester, for instance. They had a report there of a roof being blown off a building from a severe thunderstorm, some thunderstorm wind damage in that vicinity. That's pretty interesting information there. Unfortunate. Haven't heard of any injuries or anything like that. But again, seeing those different reports, I know the Panama City market reports where those tornadoes there may have touched down. We're talking about, looks like really no damage being reported because of the sparse nature of the population. One of them might have even been a water spout there, as indicated by the Weather Service. So, interested to get a debris signature out there for sure. But gotta keep watching the latest scans here. Again, this storm is unimpeded. I'll go ahead and see if we can see the wind profile on this a little bit, because this will kind of see what I'm talking about here as we continue along with you guys. Let's go ahead here and say, you guys, the winds on this right now. Again, you can see the winds there coming from the southwest, and that's a type of wind there where we have more instability, more energy able to kind of feed into this here. It's not really getting cut off. If you had a bunch of storms or even showers down to the south, it'd be kind of cut off here, but it's not, unfortunately. You have some supercell characteristics with this here, and our supercell composite values still in that, or significant tornado values are there as well, and the instability values, it's right on the edge of that. It's starting to kind of move away from that, possibly, as I said, and following it here. I'll back this up to see exactly our last update on that, because it takes a little while for some of this information to load in, and it may be following it enough here. It still has enough energy. I mean, even the eastern part of this box here, I know it's kind of late, but I'm trying to say that here a couple times fast, but we're talking about 14 joules per kilogram here, even in the eastern side. So enough instability here with the wind shear, and that overall wind direction here kind of helping to feed things in. To the north and west, you see the winds are switched direction on Albany. Used to threats to be over there in Doherty County, and that's good news for you guys. Same in Bainbridge there, Donaldsonville, Blakely. The severe threat's over because the winds have shifted direction. That's a northwesterly wind. So you guys should be good there. But again, a tornado warning in play until 1:45 here for parts of Columbia, Hamilton, and Echols, and Clinch counties. Technically, we're talking more about the Georgia zones at this point, but I do see it's a situation, really, where they now have canceled out Hamilton, but they're keeping Columbia here, and also talking about parts of Clinch and Echols. So we'll just continue to watch the trends here. The rotation tracker isn't as strong on this as it was a little while ago, as we just continue to watch this here. Watch the latest scans. Again, we were on for a severe thunderstorm warning for this accident, but then it got upgraded here per se. We had a thunderstorm warning that stayed for a little bit, but the situation escalated to a higher degree of concern with a tornado warning here in play. And that's what we have right now. It doesn't look to me as if it's as well put together here as it was, but you see that hook still. It still has that inflow, and you just never know here in this type of environment. I mean, I feel like eventually it's going to break up the rotation on velocity enough they won't keep this going, but if for whatever reason we really had these parameters follow behind, I mean, this could hold itself together even a little bit longer here, maybe in North Charlton County. We'll just have to wait and see, but maybe for Folkestone, we'll see. Let me put our track on here, or maybe even Nassau County, actually, as I kind of look at this a little bit closer here. I'll kind of bat this up just a bit and see if I can follow this around. I mean, maybe clipping Nassau, and then after it gets from Charlton, and could even get into Camden, but we'll have to see what type of intensity it's in at that point. What type of structure does it have? What kind of really just overall parameters does it have to take advantage of? So, again, you see some electrical energy here toward the north. Again, up there toward areas there north of Fargo. Again, we're tracking this area of green. Not a lot of red here at this point, as we've talked about, but the superstar structure is intriguing, and is still some cause for concern. And some of the storms we had back on Sunday, Monday morning there as well, that overnight period there from Sunday into Monday is what I'm talking about here after that time change, the night after. And we had a lot of that stuff kind of too close together here to get those to really maybe get down to the surface in some ways, but this is all again by itself with all that inflow being able to take place here into this thunderstorm. There is a little bit of lightning with it anyway, so that's still something to kind of keep in mind here. As we go back to the current view, we have, it looks like here, about 14 joules per kilogram of CAPE here in this vicinity, maybe closer to 139 joules as we're looking further back because it doesn't update quick enough here, but not too far further back than that, we have 446 joules per kilogram. I know that doesn't mean a lot to most people, but it's just the level of energy this storm has to take advantage of here. So, again, a tornado warning in play for technically another 24 minutes here for parts of Columbia, Clinton, Echols counties. Again, let's see exactly what we have here on our other mode. We're going to keep checking here to see exactly what is evolving as it does go ahead and move further on up out of Florida into Georgia. It's not a threat for Lake City here, but this will be, if there's a tornado close to, looks like US 441 here, in a moment, if you're going from the Lake City area toward Fargo, it's going to be right there in that vicinity. Maybe just to the north and west if there is a circulation still here, but we'll just continue to look at some of our products. There's our ZDR. That says upscale growth here, and that says that just north and west of 441 for now, but it's definitely the storm action will be impacting folks around US 441 here in South Georgia. So again, you want to seek shelter inside that sturdy building, get as many walls between you and the outside as possible, and maybe put on a bicycle helmet or a football helmet in this type of situation, because there could be, if there is a tornado on the ground. I'm thinking it's a little less likely at this point, but it was a little bit tighter on that rotation earlier on, as we noted. But if that were to be on the ground, we could have some flying debris that could cause some injuries here to some folks. You also want to put those shoes on here to make sure your feet don't get cut up if a tornado were to hit. You could have glass on the ground. You don't want to cut those feet up here. Walking through that debris trail here, trying to get out of your tornado safe spot, for instance. So, just some different things to keep in mind. Take that cell phone with you to that tornado safe spot so you can keep watching our coverage or just knowing about a storm in some other method here. You just have different options, but also not just about watching our coverage, but if you need to tell somebody where you're at, if a tornado hits your neighborhood or hits your house and you're partially trapped, possibly in a worst case, you could tell people where you're at so they can get to you and get you out of the debris. Right now, I think that chance of that actually happening here has gone down a pretty good bit. I think we're really seeing this kind of trend on down here. The rotation doesn't look like much here. At this point, it looks more like one direction of wind here with the green and not much red, but they're on the side of caution. You see a little more on our base velocity, and this gets tricky in here sometimes. I'm going to look at our other source here because that's a little bit distorted in some ways. I'm going to check our storm relative here on another source. And they still see enough of that broad rotation there. I think they just want to be careful here with this, just in case. I mean, you never know here in this type of situation if something wants to try to get down to the surface or not. You just want to be really careful because you don't want to be caught off guard. I mean, you don't want to have a situation here that you just really you're not prepared for this and then you get injured because of that. That's something that would be an adverse situation for you, obviously. So, again, looking right now at this storm, you can see here we have the green. It is looking less intense here, but we're looking at almost 2,000 feet up now on this view. So let's go to the Jacksonville radar again, see what we have there. Again, we're sitting at 124 on this Saturday morning. As we continue along with the coverage, you see the temperatures upper 60s, lower 70s here, and many spots closer to mid-60s toward Waycross and Homerville. But you kind of get the idea here. Enough instability here for this storm to feed and hold on a little bit longer, but I know we're going to have cooler air kind of coming in. That'll start to make the severe chance even lower, and then it'll be kind of cool here and wet at times. But eventually we'll end up having a situation here, as I look at some more things, where it's just gonna, get pretty cool out there, if not downright cold again, before we have a warm-up next week. Maybe not as much rain expected next week as we first thought, but it's still kind of early on that. We'll keep you guys up to date. But I know our forecast had 60% there for Tuesday. I would definitely go down with those rain chances now, decrease those versus what I had in that previous assessment. So again, just continuing along right now here. Our rotation tracker is really falling off with this now. That's good. It's still showing some rotation, but I feel like if this trend continues, they'll cancel this tornado warning here in short order. And if that happens, we'll wrap up our coverage. But we're going to stay with you guys with this stream until this tornado warning gets dropped. But I'll say our trend over the last hour here, you can see as we were tracking this, we had those reds up with these different scans. And even some of these, our source here was showing blues indicative of really strong rotation indicative of maybe some type of tornado, maybe not a strong tornado, but still just strong wind rotation with this. But now a weaker scenario does seem to be prevailing here with this. I know we have some of the energy, but it seems like it'll probably get into a more environment that I would say is more stable per se at this point. So let's see what else we have for you guys here. We have our temperatures. You can see 60s here. It looks like about 66.9 degrees or 67 degrees in this general area here. Look at the dew points. They're in the 60s, which is favorable enough. And that's another thing to look at here. As we look, you kind of see, and I had it on here maybe better a second ago, these greens are where we have less favorable dew points per se on the overall color table. The background shows that. Now some of our actual sites have it a little bit higher than what this is shown, but it still shows up as a drop off here in these numbers. So that's something to keep in mind. That means less overall energy. We had some pretty cool temperatures back Friday morning here east of Stark, where I'm at in our rural area, in the 40s. So sometimes the environment isn't as primed. I've noticed here lately in these situations we get further east, and some of these setups we just had around the area. So again, continuing to watch. I don't see any like chasers out here around this or anything like that in our system. Just kind of looking at that for reference. But again, continuing to watch here. Continuing to give you guys the latest. Also, if there's any questions here right now, I don't see any of them showing up on my screen. So just continue along here with some of the other things that we'll talk about and do talk about in these type of situations. So let's see what else we can show you here. We have energy that we were showing you, but now here they're infrared satellite, and you can still see some of the quarter cloud tops. You see a little bit of lightning there as we get toward areas there in Georgia, in South Georgia. A couple of lightning strikes to the north, but closer to where it's a word tornado, where that would be. We're not seeing a lightning here at this point really be prevalent. So that's something to keep in mind here, and be another indicator, another check on the side that there's probably not a tornado here at this point, I wouldn't think. But the tornado warning's still here. I'm going to take the tips off for a minute because I want to do some other stuff since we're still with you guys. We have the tornado warning. There's some other things I'll just go ahead and see with our model guidance has struggled here to some degree. But I think it's important to say, you guys, is if you're just sticking with me here, I'll go ahead and do the whole area view. And again, just continue to watch things. I know. Let me go ahead and take off our radar for a second. I haven't done this in a while, but I think I'm going to go ahead and put on our wind direction here if we can with our actual model guidance, because I could kind of sell me some stuff here and show you guys, the viewers, some stuff as well. So let's go ahead and do that here. As we pull that up, you'll kind of get an idea of what we're talking about here in this type of situation. With the overall wind direction kind of shifting on us. And another red box is going to stay there. I'm going to leave that on here, but until, it may go away with us dropping that tornado warning here at some point. It's technically still going for another 15 minutes, but again, here's your forecast model here. That's 2Z, or 6Z, which is 2 a.m. Try to do this conversions here on the fly, but that's a little bit off. But you see some of those winds more westerly on these runs, more northwesterly, which would be less favorable for severe weather back there. But if this were to turn into a line, then I guess you just never know if things don't undercut enough. But in general, that stuff could kind of become a little bit less organized here overall, based on just kind of how I'm seeing this. But this is kind of showing something different. And maybe we get some strong wind gusts in this if this were to hold together like this. This is 7 a.m. here as we look into toward this area. Really, actually, as we look toward more 8 a.m. Eastern time, you do see what we're talking about there toward Gainesville, toward Stark, toward 9 a.m. You see that rain around, so possibly a wet morning commute here for everybody. As we look at back at the last 6 hours here on that model run, which gets you from 4 a.m. to 10 a.m. It's about an inch of rain around Stark, a possibility here. We'll see if that happens. Again, it doesn't seem like we're getting quite as much of that to show up here in the current view, but if that were to build, if that were to develop here, then that's what could happen. So again, just continuing to watch all this here. I know it can get complicated at times as they go further on out. You saw that rain, but you see the actual radar mode. Okay, and we just got word now they're canceling the tornado warning. So that's good news. Let me go ahead and take off our model information, our model overlay. Forecast model super. We're going to put the radar back on. The red box will go away here any second now. And I'll be able to end this tornado coverage. They've canceled the tornado warning. The threat is mitigated enough here and falling apart enough where we no longer have the tornado warning in effect. So they've canceled it. That's what we like to hear. You see the red box officially going off the screen now. That's what we want to see. No active warnings in our area in terms of severe thunderstorms or tornadoes. At 1:31, they said the storm which prompted this warning is weakened below severe limits and no longer appears capable of producing a tornado. Therefore, the warning has been canceled. But however, gusty winds and heavy rain will still be possible with this thunderstorm. So we'll keep our eyes on it here. We'll keep our eyes on the whole situation. We're here all the time in the Weather Center in case something happens. But right now, we only have one customer in the dark in Hamilton County. That's according to the ones being tracked on Power.us. So could give you guys a false sense of security here. You never know. But that's what we're seeing right now. Not too many outages there in that region where if a tornado occurred, it would have been more likely occurring in that area. But as we look, Suwannee County, no outages. Columbia County, no customers out according to the ones being tracked. We have a few in Georgia or in Mitchell, 213 customers in the dark, but I don't see many in other areas like Lowndes or Brooksy or Echols or Clint's. None at this point, or Echols and Clint's, but that could change as more information trickles in. We've got to make sure we don't have any damage here. We haven't had any reports in this area as of the latest that I've seen, but that could always change on us here. And we'll be on top of everything. If we have more warnings, we'll let you guys know. But if we don't have any more warnings, any more threats before a full more update on Tuesday, I'll see you guys then. Enjoy the rest of the weekend here. Still got a couple days left if you've been off. Maybe on that spring break on that Friday. Got a couple days left. Maybe you have spring break this coming week, and then you have a week to enjoy here of changeable weather, cool air, but then warmer air. It's looking like that'll be coming on in. So you can watch us here as necessary on all the different platforms. I'll go ahead and see you guys that now. Facebook, Casey Cloud WX, Cloud Weather. You have Cloud Casey on Twitter. YouTube there, subscribe to show your support at Cloud Weather. That's free, and you'll be able to see videos coming up, live streams here, maybe even a little bit easier in that type of situation by doing that here. And then Twitch there, Cloud Weather, and you have the website, cloudweather.com. Thanks so much for tuning in and trusting me there. You have the auto alert updates as well, Cloud_WX on Twitter there. You have that interactive radar even on the website, tracking the downpours, cloudweather.com/radar. Thanks so much for tuning in and trusting me. Have a great night.